Hi, and welcome to my free educational videos where I'm writing a quote for the very first time with you, sharing my process and the thoughts behind them. Today, I'm going to be using a Pentel Touch Sign Brush Pen and I'm going to change the slant. So it's going to be a slight variation from other quotes we have done together. So let's go. I'm going to show you my table and we are going to do this together. Okay. So what are the things that are the same? So the things that are the same is the size of the X height is 13.6. Also, the dimensions of the X height are the same as the dimensions of the ascenders and the descenders. So the ratio is 1 to 1 to 1. And you will find more info about ratios on other free educational resources I have recently provided. Then the change is the slant. So now we have an upright slant. So the letter forms are at 0 degrees measured against the vertical axis. And we are going to write a quote following now this upright movement. So the letters are the same, but they are going to look a lot more static and with less movement because the slant is upright. Let's go. I'm going to use for today Canson XL 70 GSM, so I can see the lines clear and you can still see them through as well. And I have already written the quote in pencil and I have done it at the top of the page so that is clear for me. I can check the quote and hopefully not making spelling mistakes. Okay, let's go, zoom in. Okay, so the quote for today says, everybody should do everything they ever dreamt of so they can see that it's not the answer. This quote is by Jim Carrey. You will find the quote and the author on the description of this video. For this time, these guidelines with an upright slant are only available from my course called Introduction to Script Brush Pen Calligraphy. Is a level 1 course for total beginners, and you can find the guidelines from that course only. If not, you just manually create the guidelines because are very easy. It's just changing the slant. Excellent. Okay, so the next step I normally do is I mark the X height so you see clearly where I'm sitting. And the other thing I tend to do is starting the quote with a capital letter. I'm going to use a capital letter that it's familiar for me, and you're very welcome to use the capital letter E that you're more familiarized with. Also, you are very much welcome to follow me with a pencil. It will be a very beneficial exercise as well. Okay, so let's start with capital E. So I'll start from the top ball. And then start the first word, which is everybody, starting from the center of the X height. I'm going to introduce a variation of capital B. And I decided to introduce a variation because I have two Y's in the same word. So just to bring a bit more dynamism. Everybody should, so let me move slightly. should do. Let's move. Now, if I see the space I have left on this line, I see that I might have problems because I might not be able to fit the whole word in here because the next one is everything and it's going to occupy quite a bit of space. So I'm gonna go to the next line. Let's go in and I'll mark the X height again. Okay. Everything. So let's start. Notice the height differences between the T and the ascenders, and more or less is working fine. I'm just focusing on not making spelling mistakes, everything, they, ever. So let's go. Ever. Dreamed. I think I have enough space, so I'll try to fit it in here. All right. Yeah, it fits good. Dreamed of. New line. Because the slant is vertical, I can actually decide that I might want to start my ovals at 12 o'clock and finish them at 12 o'clock for this particular combination of letters O and F. Let's go. 12, down, close from here. Off. So I'm creating a ligature, a connection between the top of the O and the F. I already see that the space is too tight, so this is something for the end of the video where I'm looking at things and evaluating, but yeah, I already see that. Okay, dreamed of, comma, so they can see. Can see that it's not, let me, that I have enough space, so I think I can fit in here the contraction it's, so I will try to do it. I it's and a new line. Let me mark the X height in here. It's not. The answer. Full stop. Okay, let's have a look at the whole quote. Yes. Okay, so what are my thoughts on this quote? My thoughts are that it's working quite well. The rhythm is very different based on the slant being 0 degrees against the vertical axis, so there is not so much movement. I introduced some variations to make it a bit more dynamic, like between this Y with a loop and this Y without the loop. Some S's are slightly too straight, like in here, the back of this S. I almost think that is almost parallel to the stem of the H. So this S, I think, is slightly too straight. So I would like to see a little bit more curve coming in here. Spacing, this is the major thing that I see that is like, okay, this O and this F are way too close to each other. So for the next time to fix, what else is happening? We have a lot of, actually we have very small descenders except Y's and 1G. and a lot more ascenders. So something to keep in mind. The line spacing, I think, works well because we need this spacing between the lines to allocate all the ascenders. How is it breaking? Well, grammatically, I think it would make sense that it's breaking. Everybody should do everything they ever dreamt of. So ideally, this word could be up here. And it is possible if I bring every and add a hyphen and then the rest of the sentence, for example. So this will come up here. And then the second part. But because I think I took the right decision because this word wasn't going to fit in this space. So then second option is, so they can see that I would like to bring now this piece in here. And the last sentence reads, it is not the answer. Oh, now I see that I need to add a bar for the T. Okay, so option 2 is have it as it is, but then this word coming into the third line because grammatically then we end up with it is not the answer, which I think it's the most important part of the message. So everything you ever dreamt of is not the answer. Everything else was fine, still thin and thick, high contrast. The widths are pretty consistent. I see a little bit of variation, but it's not so much that I can be like, this is off. No. As I mentioned in here, the connection is from 12 o'clock up, which could happen in all these scenarios and just change the way how we connect the O to the next letter forms is from 12. I haven't changed it in other ways, only here. So far it works well, less movement, a bit more stable. I think there are not spelling mistakes, so happy times then. If you want to learn more about this type of writing, you have other quotes that are using a really strong slant, or you can check out my course called Introduction to Script Brush Pen Calligraphy, where you have heaps of the hands-on videos, guidebook, lessons, additional resources, and so on. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.